The National Intelligence Service has released an analysis on Kim Ju-ae, the daughter of Kim Jong-un. They assessed that Kim Ju-ae seems to have become Kim Jong-un's successor. North Korea is now in a situation where it is trying to go beyond a third-generation hereditary succession to a fourth-generation one. Let's take a closer look at the situation where Kim Ju-ae has effectively become Kim Jong-un's successor. Let's take a look right now. On April 6th, the National Intelligence Service told the National Assembly that Kim Ju-ae, Kim Jong-un's daughter, was recently seen operating a new main battle tank, echoing Kim Jong-un's actions as successor. At an April 6 closed session of the National Assembly Intelligence Committee, the National Intelligence Service said the tank-driving scene aimed to showcase her exceptional military skills. Recently, Kim Ju-ae has mostly appeared in the defense sector, which is seen as accelerating her successor narrative. North Korea is more conservative than South Korea, so there's been strong skepticism about a female successor. Her frequent appearances in the defense sector are reducing skepticism and speeding up the successor narrative, according to the National Intelligence Service. Kim Ju-ae has even been seen driving a tank with Kim Jong-un on it. She was seen aiming and firing a sniper rifle at an outdoor range. In addition, the National Intelligence Service has determined that Kim Ju-ae is entering the stage of being designated as a successor, as her role has been actively strengthened by going directly to the field, listening to and resolving difficulties, and expressing opinions on implementing policies. In particular, members of the National Assembly Intelligence Committee who received the NIS report noted that previous reports referred to Kim Ju-ae as a leader, but this time used the term female successor, indicating that the NIS's evaluation of Kim Ju-ae is continuously rising. Kim Yo-jong also needs to be watched closely. Kim Yo-jong has re-entered the party's Politburo. This is her return after 5 years, since she was removed as a candidate member at the 8th Party Congress in 2021. She has also been promoted to the head of the party's General Affairs Department. The NIS expects Kim Yo-jong, Kim Jong-un's closest confidant, to keep overseeing his directives and act as spokesperson at major events. However, the main issue right now is Kim Ju-ae's age. Currently, she was born in 2013, which makes her equivalent to a first-year middle school student by South Korean standards. In North Korean history, there has never been a case where someone this young has been virtually designated as a successor. So right now, there is a common question being raised among intelligence agencies and experts. Why are they rushing this much? To understand this question, we need to look at past cases. Kim Jong-un also rose to the position of successor very quickly. After Kim Jong-il's health rapidly deteriorated following a stroke, Kim Jong-un, who was in his mid-20s at the time, was officially designated as the successor in what was essentially an emergency move. At that time, there were many assessments that the internal preparations were not perfect, but the current situation seems even more urgent than that. It's because of Kim Jong-un's health condition. He currently weighs over 140 kilograms and, besides severe obesity, also smokes, drinks, and has high blood pressure and cardiovascular disease. According to medical experts, he is at significant risk of acute heart disease or cerebrovascular problems. Rumors about his health persist since he's often seen out of breath and with noticeable body changes in public. Here, a leader's priority should be preparing for a power succession, but the main issue is how quickly it happens. Putting someone forward before they're old enough to understand power is more than symbolic. North Korea is now building legitimacy while training a successor. This is also why they reveal participation in military training, shooting, and operating tanks. They are trying to forcibly instill the image of a leader in a short period of time. In this situation, the biggest risk emerges. If Kim Jong-un were to suddenly die unexpectedly, the question is whether a leader in their early teens could handle that power vacuum. The internal elite, especially the military, are unlikely to accept this, so a regency system would likely emerge. Kim Ju-ae would be the official leader, but real power would be shared by key figures around her, sharply increasing the risk of a power struggle. A competition for influence may arise among the military, the party, and key figures such as Kim Yo-jong. Kim Yo-jong already has experience and a power base, so she could potentially become the center of power depending on the situation. However, according to the National Intelligence Service, they believe that Kim Yo-jong does not have real power at the moment. If Kim Jong-un dies and Kim Ju-ae comes to power, it's assumed that there will be a purge, just like when Kim Jong-un first took power, and some analysts are saying that Kim Yo-jong could also die during this time. Like Kim Jong-un killing his uncle by marriage, Jang Song-taek with an anti-aircraft gun to tighten his grip on power, he may use similar fear tactics. The main issue is North Korea's absolute power structure. If the center is unstable, the entire system is affected. The moment a young leader remains only as a symbolic figure and real power is dispersed, cracks can start to form within the system. And while these cracks may not be visible from the outside, they tend to spread very quickly on the inside. There's an even more important point in what I mentioned. It's the fact that the structure of North Korean society itself is very conservative, especially as you get closer to the core of power. This tendency becomes even stronger. Most military and senior party members are elderly male elites who have spent decades in a male-dominated power structure. It's unlikely that such a group would naturally accept a teenage female leader. Looking at North Korea's current actions, it shows that they are aware of this instability themselves. Most of Kim Ju-ae's public appearances involve military events, such as watching missile launches, joining shooting drills, riding tanks, and appearing with military officials, all aimed at portraying her as a commander-in-chief. This isn't just simple exposure, it's a carefully designed production. It's an attempt to forcibly instill the perception that she is someone who can control the military. The core of this strategy is just one thing. The focus is on internalizing that it's about power, not gender. Before her being a woman sparks controversy, they're projecting her as a military authority and leader. Kim Jong-un once faced doubts over his youth and inexperience, but he quickly gained control by inspecting military units and projecting toughness. The same method is being used with Kim Ju, but internal resistance is still possible. The North Korean military is more than an organization, it's a key pillar of power. High-ranking officers, shaped during Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il's eras, carry a succession mindset rooted in the revolution's first generation. They might view a teenage female leader as an issue tied to the regime's legitimacy. Despite outward loyalty, they may think differently. Going forward, we should watch for two things, starting with the military's real response. There may be subtle signals in their behavior at public events, personnel changes, and the process of power restructuring. The other thing to watch is the frequency of Kim Ju-ae's appearances and changes in her role. If she starts giving instructions or making policy statements instead of just attending events, it signals a real shift in internal power. We'll see how this develops. Once North Korea finalizes the succession structure, the next step is always to change personnel. Based on the moves we've seen so far, it's highly likely that in the coming years, they will systematically place people who are loyal to Kim Ju-ae in key positions. It's not just about appointing people based on ability, but rather filling key positions mainly with those whose loyalty has already been verified. This process does not happen quietly. With personnel transfers, promotions, and changes in positions happening continuously, it's highly likely that the faces at the core power will change rapidly. Officials in key power centers, such as the party's organizational leadership, the military's general political bureau, and top state bodies, may be replaced or reassigned. Those in these positions share a common trait: their loyalty to someone outweighs their personal abilities. Since Kim Jong-un could die unexpectedly, they're appointing people who would protect Kim Ju-ae if that happens. If the existing elites formed under Kim Jong-un's regime remain in place during the power succession, there could be moves for a power struggle, so they're eliminating that option altogether. They're creating a structure where the core of power itself has no other options. And there's one scenario that's even more concerning here. If a Kim Ju-ae regime takes shape, there's a possibility that the politics of fear will become even stronger. This isn't just a guess, it's a well-founded analysis. Kim Ju-ae has grown up witnessing extreme power up close since birth. Since Kim Jong-un took power, North Korea has seen repeated high-level purges, public executions, and strict control policies. If she has been exposed to this kind of environment naturally since childhood, it's highly likely that she has come to accept these methods themselves as normal means of governance. In fact, within North Korea's power structure, every single action in front of the leader is directly linked to survival. She grew up in an environment where much older officials would bow their heads, speak with extreme caution, and be punished for even the smallest mistake. A leader who grows up in this kind of atmosphere inevitably becomes psychologically accustomed to controlling through fear. The problem is, this tendency can be even stronger in the early stages of their rule. Inexperienced leaders usually have weaker power bases, so they often rely on strict control and punishment to compensate. They may also deliberately send out tough messages to quickly boost internal loyalty. Especially if the military or party elites are not fully under control, rule by fear can be the most immediate means of control. In addition, instability tied to youth could also be a factor. If someone gains power without much political experience, they may overreact to perceived threats or even minor resistance. In this situation, the scope of purges may widen, or power consolidation may happen more quickly than expected. If this happens, North Korea could become strongly unified in a short period, or at the same time, tensions could rise to an extreme level. As loyalty competitions intensify and distrust grows, the power structure will likely become more unstable. So the current concern is not simply that things will get stronger, but that the very methods of control could become rougher and more unpredictable.